Today's a very exciting day. I don't know if you can see, but behind me right here, we have our new home. So, for those of you who don't know, we bought a teepee a few months ago. We've never actually built a teepee before, and this is really what this video is all about. How do we approach new challenges and things we have little to no experience with? Our plan was to buy the teepee with all of the parts, minus the poles. And so we'd source the poles from the trees on the land, strip them and treat them, and the other big job is building a cob floor for the teepee. We both love cob and we've worked with it in the past, and we really enjoy that material, especially as a floor under our feet. There's really nothing quite like an earthen floor, for us at least. As you saw in the previous video, once the container trouble started, we really had to take a big stop in our work on the land to deal with it. And so we got started on the poles. You can see some of them here, but we need 17 in total. And so we'd managed to get 5 to the level we could use, but because we had to stop for so long, we decided instead, in order to get the teepee up before the rain started, to buy the remaining poles that we were missing. So now we have all 17 poles, and all we have to do is prepare the area. Now I measured the floor, but the teepee shape, the final position of the poles, is very individual, and each teepee is a bit different depending on the poles and the angle of the floor, etc. So we decided to set up the teepee just so that we could measure the distance between the poles so that we'd know the size of the floor that we wanted to build. So the first step is to measure the angle between the different poles. There are 3 main poles in the teepee, and these form the base tripod upon which all the other poles, called the skeleton poles, rest. This isn't going to be an instructional video for many reasons, one of them being that we've never done this before. But in the future, once we put it up and we know what we're doing, we want to put a complete step-by-step video of how to raise your own teepee, how to build a cob floor, and how to source poles from chopping down the trees to having a finished pole that you can use in the teepee. So you can look forward to that in future, but for now this video's focus is going to be something else. And as you see me scramble and attempt to put this 3D puzzle together, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our experiences here in Portugal so far. Since arriving a year ago, we've been facing many challenges that we weren't prepared for. When you're faced with a challenge you're not quite sure how to deal with, it's always quite daunting. And those feelings of insecurities that I don't really know what I'm doing here, and I'm not really sure how it's going to go, can easily start creeping up. I think the main lesson I've learned is that it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to not be the best, or even make grave mistakes. We forget that as children we make mistakes all the time. But there comes a certain time when our ego doesn't like making mistakes, doesn't enjoy failures, and instead tries to avoid them. That's when we start entering our comfort zone. When we have enough experience to know what we're good at, to know where our strengths lie, it's a very enticing feeling to want to remain there for as long as possible. Otherwise, you might look like an idiot. Now, I've seen videos of people raising teepees, but according to the instructions, it should be possible to simply pull the 3 poles from an angle. When we tried this, however, each individually and together, we found it impossible to raise it above a certain height. So we changed this technique. I'm raising the teepee from the heavy end and slowly securing and pulling it from around the tree. Piece of cake, right? If this was a DIY instructional video, there would be no need to put in all the failures and mistakes that we made in order for you to learn. It would just show you the proper way to do it straight away. Now at this point, I ignored the instructions and intuitively took the north pole straight to the north and had the south pole in the south. This eventually led to some grave problems with the knot. But we'll go into that in more detail in the upcoming video. So at this point, we've been on the land for over 4 hours trying to set it up, and the next day I came to continue work with the skeletal poles, trying to place them in where they're going to be. We'd expected to have it completely and finished within 1 day, but of course, as these things happen, that wasn't the case. So I got back the next day and started placing them in the exact order they're supposed to be. By the way, that's the pole that we made. You can see a slightly different color because it's less dried, but we're very proud of it. And then comes the binding part, where the rope is used to tighten all of the poles together. Now again, we're doing this only for these size, so we're treating it as an experience to learn what you need to do to raise a teepee, so that when we come to do it properly, we'll have already learned from some of our earlier mistakes. And I think that's a very important thing to remember. Whenever we do something for the first time, we make a lot of mistakes. We don't do it well. First times are always going to be like that. That's why we didn't expect the first time to go smoothly, or even to succeed to do everything we wanted, because it's the first time we're trying. But if we made sure that the first time wouldn't be when it mattered, wouldn't be when we were already excited and everything was ready, but would be part of our long process, and so we'd accept that this wouldn't go as smoothly as it will, then we can use that opportunity to learn as much as we can. And then when comes the time when we really want to get it right, we'll already have more experience and we'll have learned from the earlier mistakes that we made on how to do it properly. This is a prime example, as here we really have no idea what we're doing. You need to tie the entire canvas of the teepee, which is about 20 plus meters long, around one single pole, the sturdiest pole you can find. And then somehow you need to lift the entire pole with the entire canvas of the teepee up. And that's a lot of weight, and just trying to get it up was a problem because we didn't have any rope to pull with this time. So we literally have to lift it up ourselves from the ground. Very quickly we realize that this is not going to go well. So we decided that was enough for one day. We'll have to take a break for now and come back to it another time. The next day when I came back, I actually didn't film anything. I'll be honest, I was rather fed up. This project that was supposed to take only 1 day is now dragging us into the third. I was quite disheartened at this point. But I gave it my all. I tried raising it one more time, and I decided that was enough for the day. So we had to wait until Slil came with me as well, so that the two of us could do it together. We all went down to the land the next day, and we gave it our all, but we simply couldn't get it up. The last try we got really close, and I just was worn out and fed up on the last attempt, and it didn't go. So we decided to leave it be. We'll tackle it again when it actually matters, and until then we'll probably get somebody else to come and help us with the raising of the teepee, since we do have a few friends who offered to help. But for now we only needed to measure the distance of the poles from each other, and since we got that, we marked that on the floor, and now we can start building the floor to the size that we need. You want to come and do the closing part with me? So that's it from us. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great time. If you aren't yet, please don't forget to subscribe, like. It really helps us as a channel. And we'll see you next time. Until then. You want to say bye-bye? Gorgeous. Did you think I forgot? I'm sorry, but the thing is, the story has such an anticlimactic ending that I didn't feel it was proper to put it somewhere else in the video. So if you watched this far, thank you. As many people have asked me about the situation with the document, I will briefly explain what it is now. We have the container, we have all of the things. The document was needed to get a tax deduct, which we are eligible for as Israeli citizens. However, the Portuguese customs require documentation from the Portuguese consulate in Israel, who get their information from the Israeli Ministry of Internal Affairs. So we got in touch with the Ministry of Internal Affairs. They gave us the affirmation to give to the Portuguese consulate in Israel, and they sent an email confirming that we were eligible for a tax deduction to the Portuguese customs. However, for some reason, the Portuguese customs didn't recognize the Portuguese consulate's document and claimed that it wasn't proving that we were Israeli citizens. When we approached the Portuguese consulate asking for another document or to change it so that it would be accepted, they said that there was nothing wrong with it. So that's still the situation today. I haven't managed to convince either side to talk with the other, and so it's a sort of stalemate right now. So that's the very boring, bureaucratic, anticlimactic ending of the story. That's what real life is, as opposed to these videos, which are meant to entertain. But so many people asked and wanted to know what the situation is, so I had to include this. So again, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed and you've watched this far, you really might as well, because let's face it, you're already here. And we'll see you in the next one.